Alright, what's up guys? In today's video, we're going to take a look at the Kilo 141, give you guys the two best class setups for it, as well as talk about the best long barrels, the best grips, as far as the best stocks and lasers, to give you guys the best overall class setup. In this video in specific, I found a big difference between the Kilo and every other gun. A lot of the attachments have a very big negative, and in order to give the best class setup, you have to figure out what's best together to give you guys the best positive in stats or the least amount of negative in stats. What I found is two very good class setups that have a slight negative on one, and the other class setup has nothing but positives. There are basically three main attachments you guys want to be going for to give you guys the best overall stats of the weapon. So the first thing I want to talk about, which you guys will see right now, is the two best class setups. They're kind of different as far as what we're going for. The first class setup, which is actually what I think is the best class setup, probably one of the best in the game, is the Whisper Barrel with the no stock, with the commando, with the 50 round mag, and the tac laser. What that gives you is nothing but positives. You're going to get a faster movement speed, a faster aim down sight time. You're also going to get more range. You're going to get a faster stray speed, a better recoil pattern, and a better idle sway. So 6 positives, 4 no negatives. I probably think this is the best class setup to use on the gun. As far as if you're playing Warzone, you're a slower player like myself, you're trying to get the most range, that class that I'm recommending to you guys is using that Prowler barrel, the no stock attachment, the tac laser with the monolith suppressor, and the 60 round mag. As you guys can probably see, both class setups have the tac laser and the no stock attachment and that Prowler barrel in there. Those are the three best attachments to use. The first thing I want to talk about is the stats of the no stock attachment, because I think this is very unique for the Kilo, and it actually significantly helps this gun where it's worse. So with that no stock attachment, you also get a 4% faster movement speed, a 15% faster aim down sight time. As far as the biggest effect it has is on your overall stray speed, which you guys can see a little video clip on the screen. Now, I found it to give about a 15 to 20% faster stray speed, which is amazing. Like I said, it's probably the biggest negative about the Kilo. Is definitely probably the best attachment to use. As far as the negative, you get a slightly worse hip fire, and your first few shots kick a little bit more. As far as after those first 5 to 10 bullets, it has basically the same recoil pattern. So the effect on the recoil is very minimal. In exchange, to get about 3 really good positives. And the unique thing about it is it does change your iron sight, which I found is an excellent positive. The Kilo has kind of a clunky, kind of a bigger iron sight, which kind of made it hard to hit some shots at long range. By making that iron sight smaller, helps give you a better view of the screen and able to hit your shots and, be able to precisely aim better. I definitely found it to be a game changer for me. As far as talking about the Prowler barrel, the biggest negatives is you're going to get a 4% slower movement speed, about 15% slower aim down sight time. That stray speed goes down by about 12%, which is massive. A normal long barrel is anywhere between 6 and 9. So 12%, 100% makes a difference. You also get a significantly worse hip fire spread. The positives is 45% more range, which is tied for the most range increase on a long barrel. You also get a less vertical kick on your first few shots, which, like I said, the no stock basically makes that worse. So they kind of counter each other out in that factor. It definitely helps make this gun get a very long range in that first base range draw, which I 100% recommend this barrel. As far as what stacks best with it or what to kind of avoid, number one, avoid the Merc and the Ranger foregrip. This gun already has no recoil, so going for attachments that make your recoil control better doesn't really have an effect. Also makes your stray speed worse, so I don't recommend them. As far as that ultralight stock and makes your stray speed faster, I definitely did notice it making an effect. It doesn't have as big an improvement as far as that no stock, so I don't really recommend it, but it definitely helps out a bit. And then we're going to be taking a look at the tac laser, which obviously it helps improve your idle sway, which I definitely recommend with this gun, and having one of the most inconsistent recoil patterns to help get that idle sway, that first shot accuracy increase is definitely a big improvement. As far as how it affects your aim down sight time, when you take a gun like the Kilo that has a Prowler and a monolith suppressor that make your aim down sight go down by about 6 frames, it actually has a big effect in taking that down. Normally, you would get about 2 frames on the base gun. If your aim down sight time is actually worse, it has a bigger effect bringing that aim down sight time up. So it actually affects it by about 4 frames, which the no stock affects it by about 2 frames. So it counters completely the negative you get of the Prowler and the monolith suppressor. So I 100% recommend it. Basically, 2 really good positives that the Kilo has big negatives on. is an excellent attachment. So as far as basically breaking down all of the next few attachments, we're looking at the SOCOM barrel, the grips, the whisper barrel, the ammo. These are all kind of things that have a very minimal effect. As far as the whisper barrel, you guys probably saw my best class setup. The reason I recommend it the most is you get 15% more range for about a 1 frame slower aim down sight time, which is about 7%, which you probably really won't notice. So it has a good increase in range, which the Kilo has a very good range. In exchange, you get a slightly slower aim down sight time. The positive completely outweighs the negative. I 100% recommend it. Obviously, you guys know I recommend using a suppressor in Warzone a lot, so it's definitely very good. As far as that SOCOM barrel, you get a slightly slower aim down sight time, a slightly slower movement speed. You also get a worse hip fire. In exchange, you get a slightly better recoil pattern and only about 25% more range. So you basically get 3 negatives. In exchange, you get 10% more range in the whisper, which is probably like 2 or 3 meters in the overall actual distance. So I definitely recommend this as probably a barrel to completely avoid when you have 2 really good barrels already. As far as about the grips, you have the Ranger, the Merc, the Commando, the Compensator, and the Tactical. Like I said, I want to avoid using the Ranger and the Merc due to the fact that it helps your recoil control, which this has the best recoil possible. In exchange, you get a worse strafe speed. I definitely recommend avoiding it. As far as the Commando foregrip, this does have a very inconsistent recoil pattern. That Commando is going to obviously bring that stability to help make it more consistent. So I 100% recommend the Commando as probably the only grip to use on the Kilo. It's definitely amazing, and as you guys probably saw it on my class setup, I definitely 100% recommend it. Obviously, the Compensator does help make your recoil pattern a little bit less, which would probably stack very good with the Prowler to basically give you no recoil, but you obviously don't get a silencer, so I'd really only recommend it in multiplayer. The rubberized, which obviously has an effect on your recoil pattern, bringing it down, it already has no recoil, so in order to make your recoil less to get stability worse, I don't recommend this either. And then obviously the last 2 attachments to take a look at is the extended ammo. This gun is unique in now the fact that it has a 100 round mag. It makes your aim down sight time go about 1 frame slower, which I don't recommend. Anything that lowers your aim down sight time as just an extended ammo. And the biggest factor is it makes your movement speed about 8% slower. So if you take that movement speed of the Kilo, about 94%, you put that 8% slower movement speed on. This is now the 2nd slowest gun in the game. If you put that Prowler barrel on there, you now have the slowest gun in the game. So I 100% recommend avoiding this completely. As I said, this gun doesn't have a very consistent recoil pattern, so the 60 round mag getting an extra 10 bullets is definitely what I found best for me. Those extra 10 bullets is going to allow you to get 10 more bullets to actually try and hit your shots better for about a 2% slower movement speed than the 50 round mag. So the 50 round mag is about 1% slower, the 60 round mag about 2% slower, but I did find myself enjoying getting slower movement speed to get a little bit more ammo, which this gun doesn't have that accurate. So you definitely want the most ammo possible. So that's pretty much it for the video. Like I said, this is very unique in the fact that it has a God tier class setup, and then it has some very, very unique stats. As far as the one thing I forgot to mention is the tac laser actually has a pretty dope effect. If you use the Cerulean blueprint, it actually turns your tac laser blue, which I thought was pretty cool. So you're probably wondering why the hell I have a blue tac laser, even though it's supposed to be green. That is why. It's because I have a blueprint using it. If you guys did enjoy the video, it helps you guys make a better Kilo class. Make sure you guys like the video. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Leave a comment down below what gun you guys want to see next. Make sure you guys use code Trapgod on all of your Scuff and GFUEL purchases. And I'll talk to you guys in the next one.